Okay, morning, folks. That was a squeeze, a bit of a crisis taking the kids on the school run this morning. I just got in time, and we've got the weather forecast for you. So, didn't see that on the chart yesterday when I was looking ahead. This is the predicted midday 1 o'clock, with a weak cold front, that's a warm front lurking there across us, just drifting across, and it is weak because looking at the rainfall radar, there's nothing out to the west of us at the moment, and there doesn't appear to be a great deal of cloud associated with that. So I think it just might be a lowering cloud base during the morning and early afternoon. Hopefully it won't stop us actually flying. You can see the isobars reasonably well spaced apart. So the wind isn't strong, sort of 10 knots on most forecasts. And then if you play that forward, that high pressure down to the south doesn't really move very far for the next 24 hours. And beyond that, and then it sinks away towards the weekend. And frontal system, there's nothing sort of driving those fronts in, so they'll be fairly slow moving and probably fairly weak affairs. So the task today, again, a short one, which is good news. 256 knots, few at 2,000 feet. It's probably looking out the window now a little bit lower than that, I reckon about 1,500 feet. And tempo this morning, this is probably the frontal system broken at 1,400 feet, so cloud base coming down a little bit. But fingers crossed, flyable. Nowhere else particularly gives sort of proper frontal weather coming in and low cloud. So, we should get something out of it today. Upper winds are pretty much westerly. You can see 260, 280 here, 20 knots at flying heights. That's up to the north of us, and down to the south of us, 280, 10 knots. So somewhere in between 10 to 15 knots over us, I would have thought, from pretty much the west. Work all day. I think this is the actual front here. Yes, there is some rain in northern England there, but I think it's that line that's laying across here and sort of moving this way very, very slowly. If anything, the main part of it seems to be drifting across the Midlands, and I suspect they're going to see a little bit of rain, maybe in lower cloud. Hopefully the tail end of it here looks pretty innocuous. Temperature wise, 12 degrees. It's mild for this time of year, but I think it'll feel a little bit chilly out at the launch point in that sort of westerly wind, 8 to 10 knots on the ground. But altogether pleasant today, because the wind's not really coming from a sort of northerly direction. It's actually swinging in from the south, so it's feeling fairly warm. Top Meteo clouds picture, well, they're sort of showing us pretty much what we've got here under this sort of layered cloud. It's probably around 2,000 feet in this area here, and then they're showing, as the morning goes on, more low cloud across the sort of middle of the country, the Oxford area. You never know, we might be lucky and be away from that and get away with some flying. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't get the low cloud. And then playing it on into the afternoon again, they're showing this low cloud. This is probably the front just draped across the South Midlands, Oxford area. Fingers crossed we're going to be all right. No rain associated with it, nothing on the forecast. So providing the cloud base over 1,000 feet, we should be out there and flying. So pretty steady day, really. Fingers crossed for flying. Cloud base should be high enough. And airspace wise, having a quick look at this, not really a lot going on that's different from yesterday, the day before, and the day before that. Number 4 is Southampton's hours of operation. It's just daylight hours, but slightly different from their normal published hours. Number 9 is the high intensity radio transmission at Boscombe Down, and number 11 is there's no danger area crossing service available from Salisbury Ops. Just 16 and 17, Fairford ATZ is activated till 1 o'clock, and there's parachuting at Little Risington till 10 o'clock tonight. Operationally would be on 2-7. I haven't seen a flight plan filed yet for a movement, so if there is one, I'll let you know as we go along during the day. We'll work on that one. Worked quite well yesterday with the movement. We were off the runway just at lunchtime, which is perfect timing, and then back on when it landed. So fingers crossed if there's going to be any movements, it'll be the same time today. I would suggest if you're on the flying list and instructors, we go and get the gliders out fairly shortly and hopefully get out flying, make the most of it this morning when it looks okay out there. And I'll see you out there fairly shortly.